discussed in previous lectures, Delhi Sultanate was now under rule of Khilji. So initially we are aware that from outsider, Muhammad Ghauri conquered Delhi from Rajput ruler Prithviraj Chauhan. After that, it was sent in hands of Qutubuddin Aibak, its loyal slave. Then onwards, the dynasty ruled over Delhi, that was slave dynasty. After end of slave dynasty, Khiljids, that Jalaluddin Khilji, formed their own dynasty over there. This is called as Turco-Afghan rule over Delhi Sultanate now. Many times these Khiljis are referred as Indians also. As we discussed earlier, they were originally from Turkestan, but they were settled over 200 years at Afghanistan. That's why they are called as Turco-Afghan. But later on, over a period of now 100 years, they were at Delhi or in the vicinity of Delhi. And so, they are in India, so they are many times referred as Indian Muslims. So, what is basic difference here? That in prior, that means in slave dynasty, officers and rulers were belong to Turki Muslims, whereas here Indian Muslims were slowly introduced in the system. And so this is proper, we can say, Indian system in the ruling wise. Now Jalaluddin Khilji was quite tender towards his person. During his rule, empire extended towards south side. As we are aware that initially only his territory from Afghanistan, that is Gandhar, Punjab, then here parts of Punjab, Haryana, then Delhi, parts of Rajasthan, UP, Bihar and Bengal. Like that, territories were in hands of these people, but slowly this empire started extending towards southern parts also. Now Jalaluddin Khilji fetched war with Ranthambore. The Ranthambore is place in Rajasthan where Rana Hamir was ruling. But it is mentioned that because of many soldiers of Jalaluddin Khilji died in the battle, Jalaluddin Khilji decided, because he was kind towards his own people, he decided to go back from Ranthambore. Means simply in simple language I can say Jalaluddin Khilji was defeated by Rana Hamir in the battlefield. Whereas Jalaluddin Khilji was having a nephew named as Alauddin Khilji. I should call this person as the most important person in all these Turco-Afghan or Indian rulers. Why? Because he was real founder of Islamic Empire over India. Now, Alauddin Khilji was actually nephew, but from childhood, as he was not having father and mother, he was actually, we are saying that caretaker was Jalaluddin Khilji for Alauddin. Not only caretaker, Alauddin married with daughter of Jalaluddin Khilji only. And then Alauddin Khilji, being young, enthusiastic, was given a Subedari. Subedari means sort of governorship to the Alauddin Khilji. That in Madhya Pradesh area there is a part that is called as Karha Manikpur. So Jalaluddin Khilji appointed him as a Subedar of Karha Manikpur. Then certain tasks were accomplished by Alauddin Khilji for Jalaluddin Khilji. For example, he marched towards Gujarat and he defeated a king in Gujarat that is named as Waghela king, that was defeated by Alauddin Khilji, and Gujarat was annexed to Khilji Empire. Now during this battle, that means now this rule is focusing towards Gujarat territory. Keep in mind, when I am talking about Indian history, a sultanate, that means establishment of rule over Delhi, is undergoing flourishment only when they should have two territories in their control. The first territory, obviously they should look for Bengal, because Bengal was rich territory at that time. Handicrafts and all that things were carried out from the Bangladesh and present day West Bengal or Bengal. So Bengal territory was important for them. Trade center, maximum trade towards east side was focused from Bangladesh, today's Bangladesh. In those days it was called as Bengal territory. Then second important territory was Gujarat territory. In order to get economical stability to empire, these two territories should be in control. Then only empire can flourish. So like that, parts of Gujarat were controlled by Alauddin Khilji on behalf of Jalaluddin Khilji. Now here I should mention that only political issues were not there. Apart from that, various personal issues also were there. Alauddin Khilji married with wife of that king of Gujarat. The wife's name was Kamal Devi. He was having a daughter. He means the king was having a daughter named as Deval Devi. Along with king, she escaped to Maharashtra, where Yadav dynasty was ruling in Maharashtra at that time. For safety only, they entered in Maharashtra, and now Alauddin annexed out Gujarat. Alauddin returned back to Karamanikpur. Now here, I should start discussing something about Yadav dynasty. I am leaving Alauddin Khilji or Jalaluddin Khilji at north side. We are discussing at south. Particularly, we are focusing on Maharashtra. As we are aware, the ancient most references of Maharashtra we are having, that is from Paleolithic era and all that, we are having certain references. You are aware that Paleolithic tools are identified at Nevasa, that is in Ahmednagar district. Same way you are aware that in a place called as Patne, we are having eggs of ostrich and all that. Even a place is Daimabad, where Indus Valley civilization site is also observed. That is historical. But in epics also Maharashtra is referred from ancient period. Say for example Parshuram. You are aware that there are incarnations of Lord Vishnu. Out of that, one important incarnation is Parshuram. So he is associated with Maharashtra to various extent. At that time this area was Dandakaranya. The deep forest was there. But because of presence of Parshuram, certain area was under little bit civilization, not more. But particularly after the next incarnation of Vishnu, that is called as Ram, at that time this area was having good civilization part, because in Ramayana whatever Dandakaranya is mentioned and Panchavati is called, that Panchavati place is there in Nashik district of Maharashtra. Then onwards, in Mahabharata time, certain areas of Maharashtra are referred in Maharashtra, in Mahabharata. Say for example, Vidarbha is the mentioned territory. Prior to Mahabharata, there was a reference, that is Nala Damayanti Katha. In that, Damayanti was referred as princess of Vidarbha. Same way, during Mahabharata, you are aware that one important king is referred in Mahabharata, that is named as Rukmi. Rukmi was from Vidarbha. He was oftenly referred as Vidarbharaj Rukmi. And you are aware, one of the wife of Lord Sri Krishna is Rukmini. She was from Vidarbha. So this way, there is some connection we can find out during Mahabharata period. Then during Chanakya's period, you are aware that his territory is identified as Ashmaka. Most probably whatever referred by Chanakya as Ashmaka, that is belonging to this territory. But the known history shows that Satvahan rule was prominent in Maharashtra. So first reference, historical reference, political and all that we are getting during Satvahan rule. The founder member of Satvahan rule was Simukh or Shri Mukha. From that, Maharashtra started flourishing out according to known history. After Satvahan, there was another rule that is called as Vakataka. They were ruling from Vidarbha, Nagpur territory. Then onwards, this kingdom lost out, and after Vakataka, Chalukya kingdom flourished in Maharashtra territory. As we discussed this all in prior history. After Chalukya, the next kingdom flourished in Maharashtra, that is Rashtrakut, the strongest ever dynasty in India, that is Rashtrakuta dynasty. This was during particularly Arab rule over northwest part of India. Rashtrakut flourished from Maharashtra and they were controlling territory till Kanauj and South India towards Vatapipura. after end of Rashtrakoot dynasty, another dynasty came out, that is again Chalukya only. That is called as latter Chalukya. They were ruling from Kalyani, another place in Karnataka. After Chalukyas, Hoysal dynasty developed over South India, over Maharashtra also. But after Hoysal, initially the Yadav were feudal of Hoysal, but later on they refused and came out as separate dynasty over Maharashtra. Out of that, famous king is Bhillamdev Yadav, who shifted out his capital from Chandwad, that is place in Nashik district, to Aurangabad district present day, that is called as Devagiri. It is considered as the best fort in India in those days, or rather we are saying in the world also. Now here, as I am mentioning in earlier lectures also, and here also I am mentioning that recordings are available. You can check out certain video recordings from Devagiri fort, that is today called as Daulatabad, but in old days it was having name as Devagiri. Ramdev Rai Yadav was king that was ruling from this area only. During Ramdev Rai Yadav, he was also a good warrior. He was having title, something like Praudha Pratapa Purandara Chakravarti. Praudha means Parakram, that can be considered as valor. Then Purandara, Purandara means Indra, the god of God. And Chakravarti, as we are explaining, that big emperor is called as Chakravarti Empire. He was having territories under his control, almost entire Maharashtra, parts of Gujarat, parts of Andhra Pradesh, like that. Now this Ramdev Rai Yadav was ruling from Devagiri, the fort, almost almost impossible to conquer, like that fort was there. And Alauddin Khilji decided to carry out attack over Ramdev Rai Yadav. I am now switching over to Alauddin Khilji rather than what Yadavas achieved. We discussed in separate lecture about Yadavas, but here I am focusing on Delhi Sultanate, so I should again focus towards Yadavas, towards Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji carried out attack over Ramdev Rai Yadav with around 8,000 soldiers only, and without permission of his uncle or ruler, that is Jalaluddin Khilji. Ramdev Rai Yadav was not having good spy system at that time. He sent out his 26,000 army along with his son to conquer some territories in South India. As this army was not there, this chance was taken by Alauddin Khilji. But he spread another rumor that I am coming here with 8,000 soldiers, and with me 26,000 soldiers, 1 lakh soldiers are coming out from Delhi. Ramdev Rai Yadav made attempt to defeat Alauddin Khilji by sending 1,000 soldiers. The war is taken place at a place that is called as Ghat Lajaura, where 1,000 soldiers in front of 8,000 Afghan easily defeated. Till that, Ramdev Rai was there in the fort and prepared for fighting. He called back Shankar Dev Rai Yadav also, but as mobile phones were not there, or telephonic service was also not there, simply time requirement was more. Till that period, he decided to fight with Alauddin Khilji. But Alauddin already managed the important persons from Yadav Empire who betrayed Ramdev Rai only, and instead of taking grains in the fort, they taken salt and sand instead of grains in the fort, and therefore Ramdev Rai decided to surrender. Ramdev Rai surrendered, accepted some amount, will pay every year as a tribute, and Alauddin taken away entire wealth of Devagiri along with whatever the promised tribute, and Alauddin managed to go back. But till that Shankar Dev Rai arrived, Ramdev Rai tried to explain Shankar Dev that Alauddin is having 8,000 soldiers, but 1 lakh army is coming. from Delhi, the battle was taken place where because of fear of 1 lakh army, Shankar Deva Raya Yadav returned back. Alauddin now taken double the tribute, as well as the important thing, he married with Ramdev Raya's daughter, and then he went back to Delhi. Karhamanipur. Now there was conflict between Jalaluddin Khilji and Alauddin Khilji, because without permission of Jalaluddin Khilji, Alauddin managed this entire victory, and now huge wealth was there with him, and he was not ready to share that wealth with Jalaluddin Khilji. And then by betrayal of his uncle, he managed to kill him. This way, Delhi Sultanate observed another important thing, that nephew managed to kill his uncle, or son-in-law managed to kill his father-in-law. And this way, the next ruler was there on Khilji dynasty, that was Alauddin Khilji. No doubt Alauddin Khilji didn't accept a post easily, but he sent wealth, or simply I should say bribe, to the nobles of court. And then they said that okay, as there is no powerful heir for Jalaluddin Khilji, Alauddin should be next ruler. And this way Alauddin was there on the throne. But after getting power in hand, Alauddin first managed to cut down the powers of Chehelgam. That means that what 40 nobles were there. Slowly he curtailed down their power and started gathering entire consolidation of power in his own hand. Alauddin was now started ruling from Delhi. Then there is famous battle, that is of Chittorgarh battle. He fought with Rajputs of Chittorgarh for, it is said that for Padmini, but actually the battle was there for getting more and more territories. Rajputs fought bravely for that Chittorgarh, but ultimately Chittorgarh was conquered by Alauddin Khilji. Meanwhile, he conquered Ranthambore fort also from Rana Hamir. So this way, where his uncle was having failure, Alauddin got success. So this way Alauddin got success in the battle of Ranthambore, battle of Chittorgarh. He established a fantastic rule over northern parts of India in initial stages. After getting control over Delhi Sultanate, Alauddin defeated Hamir, Rana Hamir of Ranthambore. Then he went to Chittorgarh, where Chittor was annexed by Alauddin Khilji after severe war and betrayal and all these techniques he used there, and he annexed out his territory. You are aware that Maharashtra or Yadav were initially paying tribute to Alauddin Khilji, but later on Shankar Deva Raya Yadav refused to pay this tribute to Alauddin, whereas Alauddin was waiting for nearly 4 years. Till that, Ramdev Raya arrived in Alauddin's court and said that my son is not under my control. Then Alauddin sent his massive army this time. Why massive army? Because last time he was aware the way Shankar Deva Raya Yadav fought, and therefore he sent his massive army under control of the most beloved person. In some book it is mentioned that he was transgender, named as Malik Kafur. Originally he was from Gujarat, Hindu, but later on converted to Islam, Musalman. And then he sent his army, that means Alauddin sent his army under control of Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur arrived in Maharashtra with huge army. The battle was there between Shankar Deva Raya Yadav and Malik Kafur, whereas Shankar Deva Raya Yadav this time also defeated by Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur got control over this area, and then Shankardev Rai paid tribute and accepted to pay tribute every year, and Malik Kafur returned back to Delhi. This time Alauddin entitled Ramdev Rai. Already you are aware that Ramdev Rai was having title as Praudha Pratapa Purandara Chakravarti, Gurjar Rai, Nirdalana Telunga Rai, Nirdalana, like that various titles were there. One more title was bestowed by Alauddin Khilji, that is called as Rai Rayan, that means King of Kings. Like that titles were given, and then Ramdev Rai Yadav returned back to Maharashtra. He was alive for nearly 6 months after his return, but then onwards he expired. Again power was there in hands of Shankardev Rai Yadav. Now this time Shankardev Rai Yadav again rebelled and refused to pay tribute to Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin waited for a long time, whereas ultimately he sent his army under leadership of Malik Kafur, but he ordered Malik Kafur that destroy Yadav kingdom completely, establish Islamic rule over that territory, and you have to stay there only. You should not return back to Delhi unless caught. And now this time Malik Kafur again arrived in the scene. A massive battle was there between Shankardev Rai Yadav and Malik Kafur, where Shankardev Rai Yadav was executed, whereas his army was uprooted and the entire territory was controlled by Malik Kafur. He constructed a mosque over there and started spreading Islam, as well as started destroying territories, collected vast tribute, and also a wife of Shankardev Rai Yadav named as Deval Devi, that was taken from Devgiri to Delhi, whereas Malik Kafur conquered this entire territory. But after his conquest, say for example, here is the Delhi. He marched from Delhi to Devgiri. Somewhere here I can say Devgiri is there. Then he marched towards Warangal in Andhra Pradesh, and then he carried out his total journey till Kanyakumari. This way he spread out his entire power to the Kanyakumari. So Malik Kafur is the first Islamic invader who reached till Kanyakumari from Delhi, and this way the initial empire that was established by Muhammad Ghori, that was ranging in only North India, now spread to Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So like that vast territory was controlled under rule of Alauddin Khilji. No doubt ruler was Alauddin Khilji, but on behalf of Alauddin Khilji, the one who marched towards the south, name was Malik Kafur. This way they consolidated Islamic empire established by initially by Muhammad Ghori, expanded by Bakhtiyar Khilji, and then continued by Jalaluddin Khilji, and now Alauddin Khilji. During his rule, they conquered a vast territory and spread their entire empire. Alauddin Khilji was having his one of the idol as Sikandar. Sikandar means Alexander the Great. He was considering himself similar to Sikandar, and so he entitled himself as Sikandar Sami. Sikandar Sami means same as Sikandar. So like that he entitled himself. Alauddin Khilji actually managed a vast army. I want to add one word in between, that is called as not only vast army, a vast but paid army. See, I can distinguish you. In old days, army was categorized under two different sections. Paid, or that is when we are carrying out attack, at that time they have to get wealth. Whatever the sacked away by that soldier, a part of that was given to that soldier as his salary. Whereas here, Alauddin maintained army that is considered as only paid army. Whether his army is engaged in war or not, Alauddin must pay that salary. And that's why Alauddin was not getting sufficient wealth. No doubt, this vast empire was carved out by Alauddin, but still he was having always scarcity of wealth, scarcity of money. The reason is that he maintained his paid army. So he was attacking different territories to get wealth. But apart from that, he carried out tremendous reforms in taxation system. We'll discuss it in later phase when we are discussing about administration and revenue and all that. But he introduced various systems in order to get good revenue from agricultural activities also. He introduced a unit to measure the field or farm. That unit is called as Sikandari Gaj. This is the unit that was introduced by himself. One important system was introduced that is called as Kanakut system. Like that, various systems were introduced. But the thing is that Alauddin was not getting enough money to control his empire. No doubt, he was very strict towards a certain part. Say for example, his noble or any important person used to go in market. Suppose flesh market is there, so they will purchase out flesh. Alauddin Khilji will weigh that flesh again. If less flesh is obtained, then that seller, that trader was called, and then whatever the amount of less flesh is there, that much flesh from his body was taken. Like that, cruel punishments were there. And so, he maintained, according to him, he maintained that system of law and all that, everything in his empire. But it was very difficult for him to control this vast empire. No doubt, he annexed out various territories, he consolidated India under his rule. But he was having one important problem. He was having a problem of ascites. Some bacterial infection in stomach region is there. Because of that, there is accumulation of water over the stomach region, and in old days, it was not having that good remedies for that. This disease was very, very painful. Alauddin was suffering from this disease, and so he was having tremendous pains, and now he realized that he will die soon. And then he called back his important person, that was Malik Kafur, back. Malik Kafur returned back to Delhi, leaving behind this all huge empire. Malik Kafur went back, and then after a few days, Alauddin Khilji died. Already Deval Devi was taken by Malik Kafur to Delhi. But because of this disease and all that, Alauddin was not able to marry with her. So she married with Alauddin's son. You are aware that already Deval Devi's mother was Alauddin's wife. And now Deval Devi was, you can say, daughter-in-law of Alauddin Khilji. So what was the relation between Kamal Devi and Deval Devi? Biologically, mother and daughter. But by this relation, she was also daughter-in-law of her own mother only. So like that relations were there. Now Deval Devi was there in Delhi Sultanate or in that part. Alauddin was having problems. He was not able to control this vast empire created by himself. He was having problems continuously from south. His headache was actually south. That from south again and again news of revelations were there. So now he uprooted the cause of revelation, that was Shankar Deva Rai Yadav. But still, after return of Malik Kafur, again revelations were started in South India, particularly under one of the son-in-law of Yadav dynasty only. You are aware that Ramdev Rai was there. Ramdev Rai's one important son-in-law was there, named as Harpaldev Yadav. After death of Shankar Deva Rai Yadav, Harpaldev Yadav started consolidating his power, and slowly under his control and flank, people started rebellion against Malik Kafur. After return of Malik Kafur, Harpaldev Yadav declared his own empire. They overthrown the Khilji dynasty, and Maharashtra was set free again from Khilji dynasty. So like that things were going on. Now at death of Alauddin Khilji, he was not happy. But ultimately, after his death, actually we can say nobody was happy in Delhi, because there was a strong supremacy battle played in Delhi. The rulers were executed in palace only by their rivals, and like that, almost each and everybody married with Deval Devi. The ruler married with Deval Devi, and ultimately, ruler became Malik Kafur. So Khilji dynasty actually I should say end over here, and a local person that was from Gujarat, he became ruler of this Khilji Sultanate named as Malik Kafur. But within a month, he was also executed. And then important person controlled Delhi Sultanate named as Mubarak Khan Khilji. So this way again Khilji rule established over Delhi named as Mubarak Khan Khilji. He was helped by another important person. He was also from Gujarat, named as Hassan. A 6 years boy was taken by Alauddin Khilji to Delhi. He was converted to Islam, named as Hassan, and that was also in confidence of Alauddin Khilji. He was very brave, very intelligent, and so later on he was entitled as Khushru Khan. So Mubarak Khan Khilji was there, with Khushru Khan also there, and Mubarak Khan Khilji concluded the matter that as long as a person is there in palace, he is executed. So simply he decided to leave the palace, and he started march towards South India once again, because Harpaldev Yadav rebelled against Khilji Sultanate, and so along with Khushru Khan, a vast army from Delhi Sultanate was taken back to Mubarak Khan Khilji, and then again followed the same path from Delhi. They started march towards Dalka.